Morning, everyone.
Hi, there.
Hi,
Good
good
morning.
morning.
Yeah, hi team. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
We'll start session in couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Meanwhile, anyone have questions, doubts related to career, anything, guys? You can ask me.
Uh, yes, Riz, I'm Monish.
Yeah,
Hey,
Moni.
Manish. Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking for a career in Power BI and this Azure.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about
Okay.
the job opportunities and career growth in future and at present?
So honestly, data analytics side career is good, but another thing is there is some kind of people are already available in the market. The reality, if I want to say,
Okay,
demand and supply. But good thing is most of the people just learning data analytics, SQL, Power BI, and some points of Python or Excel. So very less people are focusing on Azure, and very rare cases they are focusing on Fabric. So only good thing is we
okay,
have all these four, right?
okay.
So this helps us to
And
get into
Power
the
BI service
opportunity.
is recently converted to Fabric, right?
Not recently, it's 1.8 years, and we are teaching Fabric from last 1 year.
Okay, okay,
So it's
okay,
a old
Riz.
one
Yeah,
only. We
that's
can
it.
say it's a fabric become old, not new. Nowadays, when marketing
Okay.
any technology, we need to be considered new on that day only. Next day onwards, it's becoming old.
Oh, okay,
That much
Riz. Yeah,
speed
got
is
it.
people are going to be changed.
Yeah,
So even Copilot added recently. Anyway, Ritesh is going to be handle that Copilot part and small dashboards. Initially, maybe one FTE will do the small dashboards. Right now, Copilot going to be handled.
okay.
So how the co-pilot and works, maybe Ritesh will handle the entire session. It's recently, and how many months back, Santosh? Sorry, Ritesh, it's added to the Power BI, the co-pilot version.
Co-pilot is since 8 months.
8 months. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So the co-pilot, like Ritesh will teach you how to handle. So basic reports and all it will handle.
Okay.
So we need
So,
to be
entire
focused more into
course
the
will be
advanced
taught by
topics.
Ritesh
Yeah.
only, right?
Yes, yes, entire course. There is no single say, topic by any other tri mentor, entire course. But additional
Yeah.
classes, like example, what we are planning, 10 domains, 10 projects, 10 mentors. We are coming into this. We are going to be give additionally records. Okay. So it's in a paid one only, separately, but we are planning to give our students set of free cost who are already opted our course. That will be why we are going to with the 10 different mentors. So every mentor or every trainer have their own exposure, right, in a different domains. All those projects also from different domains. By end of this course, now initially it's not required for you. By completing this
Okay.
course at that time, you will get a more. Anyway, 5 projects we are going to be handled here itself.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, additionally, we are going to be do this. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And another good thing is the data, right? So you have a chance to upgrade yourself from data analytics to data science to data engineering to cloud engineering, cloud architect. SQL is a common. SQL is a very important when come to the data, either data analytics or Snowflake or Power BI, data engineering, data science, cloud engineering, cloud architect. Anywhere SQL is a mandatory subject. To be frank, in this course compared to Power BI, I will suggest you focus more on SQL.
Yeah. Okay, Ridish. Yeah. Sure.
SQL is very important. Without SQL, there is no data job except the data entry jobs, right? So
Yeah.
we need to be focused more technically becoming strong, not just by completing a course. So even lot many students I am losing because of our course duration. It's becoming 5 months. We are saying 4.5, but it's extending up to 5 months. Due to the new topics, if you come to the picture, we are adding that concepts. Reason in current competitive situation, we need to be better than our competitors. We need to know more skills. Maybe once you got a job, maybe not required to use every concept. Example, page-nated reports, some advanced charts. DAX only we are focusing at least for 40 to 50 DAX queries. So in most of the organization, they won't teach all this. Honestly, it might be not required also some cases and just to clear an interview. But nowadays, companies are expecting more and sustain will be becoming difficult if just learn basics. That's the reason our course is a
Yes.
little
Got
lengthy.
it. And in SQL also, you will tell more depth, right?
Yes, yes. So in our SQL classes, right, either data analytics, data science, or data science, same topics. 99% there is no going to be change anything. At least we are going to be cover 22 to 25 lectures. Each session will be 1.5 hours.
Yes.
It's not to make an SQL developer, but it will be sufficient to become any data related profile, either data analytics or data scientist or data analyst. Right? Any questions, Monish?
No.
Apart from the course, like placement is more important, and the placements we are
Yeah.
going to handle every alternate day. There is a session called placement cell session. So how you join here, right? All other batch people also will join that session. And you can ask me, I only will handle that session. You can ask me, Mahesh, while joining the course, you said I will get a call. Now I am not getting the call. You can ask me in front of everyone. You have that privilege. So you can raise your voice, you can raise your concern. I'm not getting calls. It's my responsibility. I'm not going to be helped, Monish. It's a responsibility. We will feel this as a responsibility to get in a call. After getting call, it's in your hand,
Okay.
right? Getting in a call, purely our responsibility.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
enough.
it's a reason for the resume is not good. Maybe it's a reason for Naukri or LinkedIn is not good. It might be reason not applying properly. So we will validate, we will monitor, and we will guide you how to do. Example, we will suggest you to apply minimum 25 companies per day. We need to be active, more active in LinkedIn and Naukri. We have to be follow that. If you are not following, maybe I can't help you, right?
Yeah, correct.
Resume we will take care, and each resume will made by another mentor. We have a mentors team. So each resume, we are not just giving sample resumes. Once you are done with your initial resume, you have to send to us. We will call you back and which domain you are currently working, what kind of experience you have. Example, you are currently working with a company called TCS in a domain Johnson and Johnson. We will
Yeah.
try to improve your resume with the same project, same client, same company, but roles and responsibilities as a BI developer or a data analyst.
Yeah.
Currently you are into the testing example I'm saying. So we will modify that resume as a data analyst.
Yes, Mahesh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Satish.
Yeah,
In
right.
yeah, I'm in from. I am staying in US studying right now. So
Mhm.
here also, will you help for jobs or just at least marketing?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
No. I'm staying in US studying currently.
Okay.
So in US also, just will
Yeah,
you
your
suggest
name?
anything?
Your name?
My name Hari Sri
Hari.
Hari.
You know, right, the current market situation in US.
Yeah. Current market is not good. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So to be frank, in
Mm.
India, I won't believe the market is good or bad, but unfortunately, US market is not at all good.
Yeah, not at all good. Yeah.
I can't make any promise, but I can guide you.
Okay.
There again, your
Okay.
visa depends on your visa. If you have a GC, I can able to make a promise similar like India.
Oh,
Getting in a
okay.
call, I will take complete responsibility. Even EAD
Okay.
case also I can able to. But OPT
Okay.
and H1B, the situation is not so good.
Okay.
It depends on your vendors. It depends on your consultancy as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
another thing, maybe we can't open up publicly how many years of experience you are showcasing.
Yeah. That is
So
main
even you
thing.
just completed your graduation, all people aware, they will make 7, 8 years of work experience.
Yeah. Better
So
than this.
all depends on all those things. And
Okay.
India wide it's too good. Most of the project they are throwing to the India. Even
Oh,
NA
yeah.
is saying lot many functions also, but still most of the project they are moving to the India only. Reason with your one employee salary here, they can able to manage entire team,
Yeah.
right? So usually nowadays it's less salary even in US, but usually 2 to 3 lakhs dollars per annum for a one employee minimum at least, right? 1 lakh to 2 lakhs an average. The same 2 lakhs budget here we can maintain a 3 people, 3 FT or 4 FT, including a manager.
Okay. So India, at least if I come back to India, in India it is good, right? At least if I learn this course.
India, I can able to make an strong promise. Just to prepare your resume, either data analytics or data engineering, and keep in Naukri and LinkedIn. You will get a call within a week.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
In data analytics, if you keep Python also, in US Python is mandatory, India not required. Azure is Fabric only mandatory here. If you kept the resume within 1 week, you will get calls. But experience should be at least 3 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Completely freshers are just less than 3, may be difficult. But if you have at least 3 years work experience, you will get a calls within a week.
Yeah, I have
You can give a
experience.
try
Yeah.
actually. Like
Okay.
keep taking an Indian number, you can just give a try.
Yeah, I have 5 years experience.
Yeah,
So,
then you will get a number of calls.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Satish. Yeah,
India, no need
thanks.
to worry. Any technology, Indian market is so good nowadays. Just the upskilling is important. Example, even data analytics, people are saying it's outdated, no one getting calls. Only reason their resume is not updated as per the market. If they kept only SQL and Power BI, so, there is no chance to get a call. This word I said around 2.5 years back itself. Yeah, you can see in our videos also. Power BI is outdated. Yes, outdated means if you are learning limited skills without Azure, there is no chance at that time. Now without Fabric. And rare cases, some people are asking data analytics with Power Apps or Power Automate.
Oh, Power Apps and Power Automate. Okay.
Power Platform we have as a different course. It's a complete packed one. But basic, some cases they are expecting. If required at that time, after entering into the project, you need to add it.
Oh, Power Apps and Power.
Yeah, Power Apps are automatic. Depends on their project. Any one they are expecting.
Oh, okay.
It's not mandatory for a data analyst, but depends on some projects because of the less manpower in Power Platform, right? They're expecting data analysts to do the small task.
Okay.
They can't afford a complete FTE only on Power Platform, and they can't lose in a data analyst. So that's the reason some cases they're expecting both to do.
Yeah. This Power BI course and Power Apps Power Platform, are they like
Both
I
are
won't say
different.
similar? Are
No,
they
both are different. Data analytics, Power BI comes under the data analytics. Power Platform mostly into the application development and to do some day-to-day tasks to automate. So those kind of.
Okay. Are there roles for Power Apps and Power Apps developer?
Yeah, but
like,
Power Platform also need Power BI. Power Platform developer in the sense Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, and some integrations with the Dynamic 365 and SharePoint. But here, main concept will be SQL, Power BI, Azure, and Fabric.
Azure and
Here, our main work will be analyzing the data and visualizing the data.
Okay.
But Power Platform main job will be like automating day-to-day activities and making small applications for industrially internal purpose, not like in our Android iOS apps, but internal applications.
Oh, Power Apps and
Power Apps, yes. Example, I want to create an application for our internal KSR team. How many classes per day it's happening? How many trainers are joined on time? How many trainers are taking leaves? Okay, how many students are joining and how much percentage of the students are getting placed? If you want to monitor everything on small application, we can able to develop internally.
Oh, internally, okay.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, Kevin.
Is Looker is similar to Power BI?
Yes,
I mean,
Looker, Tableau, ClickView, ClickSense, all these are similar to Power BI. But Looker and Tableau, it didn't work it out. Tableau, once upon a time, it's one of the main visualization tool, but it's become outdated after Power BI come to the picture. Honestly, compared to Power BI, Tableau is very good tool. Very powerful tool also compared to Power BI. Reason why it's not using much, Power BI easy and very cost effective.
Okay.
If I want to take in a funny example, maybe you are aware about Mini Cooper, right? There is a car called Mini Cooper.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it's exactly looks like a Shift. Right?
What is that exactly?
Shift, Maruti Shift, right? Car, another car.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So both are look same, but the powerful and costly car in the sense, which car will be? Mini Cooper. Right? You got it right, Kevin? Mini Cooper will be the costly car and very powerful car.
Okay, got it.
Which is a good car out of Mini Cooper and Shift in the sense, Mini Cooper will be the good car. But which car more selling and which car more using by the people in Bangalore or Hyderabad or in India means?
Swift only they will use mostly.
Yeah. So reason that not mean like a Mini Cooper is not good car. Mini Cooper is good, but we can't afford, we not require that much level. Our requirement Shift is sufficient, right? That's the reason 90% Power BI only the people are using. Even in fact, I worked in 2021 in our IT procurement as well. So if any employee is requesting to purchase a Power BI, within half an hour, Power BI going to be installed in his laptop. If anyone is requesting Tableau, so it will come to me. I need to validate why Tableau, why not with the Power BI? What exactly extra features you need, which is not there in Power BI? I need to validate, then I will approve.
So, question, how much time it requires to be proficient with Power BI, Fabric, ADF?
So a common
Right.
way we can't say like these days individually, but what are the 4.5 months, right? It's equal to a 4 years work experience capabilities. In fact, you can share this curriculum with any of your friend who are working in Power BI. 100% I make sure he don't know all the concepts which is in our curriculum.
Hmm.
Okay, to
Who are
add to
working, I
my
can make this also like as a challenge. You can show this curriculum with any of your friend who are working in Power BI from last 3 to 4 years and ask him, do you know all these concepts?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
There is no chance anyone in the world knows all. In fact, this Ritesh also not using all these concepts in his actual projects.
to add to Mahesh's point,
Yeah.
Kevin, so you said, right, how many days it will take to be a good or a proficient Power BI developer, including all the additional stack which we would be covering, right? We kept a target of 100 days, right? So I've been trying to say, yesterday was day 2, today is day 3. So, I mean, we skipped the first day, but what I've said, for all the days in the week from Monday to Friday, 5 days, and we will consider Saturday and Sunday as one single day. So 6 days a week. Now you assume there are 4 weeks in a month. So that means how many days? 6 into 4, 24. So you can say that by within 4 months, by end of this complete 4 months, 100 complete days, you would be a proficient Power BI developer. But there is a terms and conditions that you are, I mean, following every session. I'm not saying that you should be present. Yes, there are some chances that you might be busy somewhere. But if you're not present for that session, by end of that week, you're going through what you have not covered or what you have left over. So that is an ad, and that part you have to consider. And one more thing I would also like to share, right? I mean, even Kevin had a question that if at all, how costly the Tableau is and how costly the Power BI is. See, Tableau is way more powerful. It has some um, features which where you can use that features to develop some visuals which are not even part of Tableau. I mean, you can develop visuals which are over and about, I mean, totally different. In Power BI, that feature is not available. There is some external application which can be used to develop your own visuals also. I'll let you know that once we reach out to Power BI. But if you just compare Power BI premium per user, which is the premium license, which is costing $24. Now it was 20 earlier, since July 25, 1 month back, not even 1 month, few days back, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks back. From then it has increased. Power BI has increased its charges for premium and pro after 2015, almost 10 years. Right, it's 24. And if you compare Tableau, Tableau will cost you minimum with the very basic license, it will cost you $80. So it's almost 3 times of what Power BI is costing. That too, Power BI I'm considering premium, not pro.
Mhm. Yep, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Now, just to continue with yesterday's session, I mean, we are into the SQL. Now, few questions. I assume that people who are new to this SQL or who didn't had this MySQL workbench or MySQL server installed in their local system, you might have gone through yesterday's session. If not, please go through the yesterday's session, or there is a PPT which we have shared along with the recordings. You can download that where all the steps are clearly mentioned how to download and install this. So assuming that everyone has this MySQL server workbench installed in their system, um, if there are any questions, if you feel that I'm unable to install or maybe I'm stuck at a certain point, please feel free to reach out to us. But um, I mean, to continue with yesterday's session, right? We have seen few queries, few basic queries. Now, how do we create database? I mean, we have seen a query, right? Create database. I've given a name. So this is the name of a database. And I mean, once you create a database, it should assume, right, there are set of databases which are available here. And if you see, none of the database is getting highlighted. Uh, all the databases are in the same font format. None of the database is getting highlighted. So whenever you open this MySQL server, the SQL server will not, the MySQL server will not assume, this MySQL workbench will not assume that in which database, whatever queries you are writing, I should write that query or I should prompt that query. It will not assume, it will not understand. So the very first thing, whenever you open any specific, or maybe if you're closing the SQL workbench and you're reopening it, you have to make sure that which database you are using. Yesterday, for the very first time, I was creating a database. That's the reason I've created this. I've written the very first query. So this query is for creating database, right? Creating a database. Now, what am I writing here? Whenever you want to write a comment in the sense, along with the query in SQL, it is a very good habit to write comments wherever required. What is comment? That comment will help you to identify what that query is used for. A single line comment, maybe few words or one single line. So how a comment is written? Comment is written in different ways, right? Usually, if you're using some other SQL workbench, not MySQL, maybe if you're using SQL Server, if you're using Oracle, we use these backslash options. If you use two backslash options, it will be a comment. Here in MySQL workbench, it is not the same. You have to use double hyphens or double dash. If you use this double dash, it will be a comment. You can clearly see it is a comment. So if I run this complete query also, it will not throw an error. And even if I run this, it will throw an error because there is already a database, right? Can't create a database info. It already, this particular name, the database already exists. And we cannot create it one more time. There is already, maybe I have to give a different name. But if I'm running this complete query, it is not throwing error just because I'm writing this, right? If I remove this, and if I'm trying to run this, see the query itself is giving you the red icon here, which means there is an error. Why? Because this creating a database is a comment we know, but SQL doesn't know, right? This workbench doesn't know. But how to give that? You have to use this double dash. This is a comment. Now, as I've said, whenever you open this MySQL workbench, it is very important to understand that in which database you will be writing queries. Now, there are options, right? So the very first command which you have to use on everyday basis is which database you want to use. So I want to use this database. Done. It is just using. And if you see, I've used this option, you can directly see it is highlighting this database. Now, if I use one more use query, and if I'm using maybe the first database, which is mentioned, right? This is the first database. Now, if I run this, what's the error?
Database name.
_2.
Right? So we have to understand the exact name. Now, if I use this, it is highlighting the above database. That means you are inside that database. Whatever queries you will be writing, that queries will come. So you have to use this first query on everyday basis. If you don't have a database, the very first query would be creating that database. Right? Now, I was trying to write one more query, which is select database. Now, what is select and what is use? There is nothing different. Select means it will only select that database. Use means it will go inside the database, and whatever queries you will be writing, it would be written inside that database. Now, if I run this query, if I'm running this query, it is throwing an error, right? So what is the error? I'll just make sure that if I write like this, select database, and I'm using some brackets, right? These are parentheses, but I'm using brackets. Now, if I run this, right, it has selected that database. Select means it is just selecting. So what is the difference between if I remove this, and if I'm running, it is throwing an error, right? So there are few functionalities in SQL which you have to understand that without some brackets, now database is a component inside. I mean, this database, this word is a component inside a SQL. So there are few components, there are few queries, there are few functions which you have to understand. Without writing brackets, that won't run the query. I mean, again, the question comes, while creating the database, I didn't mention anything like this, right? I didn't mention anything like this. But why I have to use it in the select? There are certain rules and regulations which you have to blindly follow in SQL. That is how the SQL rules and regulations have been introduced. Right. So selecting is different. Selecting is you're only selecting the database. That doesn't mean you are going inside that database and whatever queries you will write, it would be in that database only. It is just selecting a database. Right. You visit a store and you have multiple, maybe you are visiting a mall or a clothes store, right? You want to have purchase some t-shirts. So if you want to purchase some t-shirts, you will have multiple options, right? So maybe out of 4 or 5 which you have shortlisted, either you'll select 1 or 2, or maybe you want to purchase only 2, but you have shortlisted 4 or 5. You'll only select 1 or 2 out of them, right? 2 or maybe maximum 3 if you have like that options. So similarly, selecting means it is just selecting. But if you want to use that database, if you want to write any query inside that database, you have to use that database. So use is the very important query. You have to use it on everyday basis because the server is installed in our local system. Whenever you close this SQL workbench, the server will halt. It will not work. But whenever you're reopening this workbench, that server will automatically start. But it will not assume inside what database you would be writing your queries. So you have to use this first query on everyday basis. Rather, it's a second query, but first query is to create a database. We need not create database on everyday basis, right? Once you create it, you have to use whichever database you have created. Now, we have seen yesterday, there are few sub-dialects in SQL. I mean, for any language, SQL is a programming language, or SQL is a language to communicate with the server or maybe the SQL database, right? More a kind of database. So there are sub-dialects in any language. Similarly, in SQL also we have sub-dialects. Now, what these dialects are? See, whenever you want to create any component, now what I'll do, I'll again use the KSR info database because I need to write the query inside here. Now, inside a database, we have seen how the information is stored. We have seen it is stored in the format of a table where rows and columns are there. So, I mean, if I go to this database, if I maximize this option, there is a tables option. There are some other components also. I mean, the components which are visible here, these components will occupy a storage. Inside a database, if you are creating a table will occupy a storage. View will occupy a storage. Stored procedure will occupy a storage. But we'll go to view, we'll go to stored procedure, we'll go to function. First, we need to understand we need to create a table. I mean, create means without creating a table, you cannot insert any record to it, right? I mean, without having any table, you cannot dump any records to it. So how do you create a table? It's a very basic query, and that create query is called as data definition language. Now, why is it called as DDL? I'll let you know. Maybe first I'll write a query. Now, what I want to create a component called as table. I want to create a component called as table, right? Even database was a component. That was the reason I have mentioned create database KSR info. What should be the name of that? What component you are creating and what should be the name of that component? Similarly, here, I want to create a table. I want to create a table, right? So create table, and what should be the table name? What should be the table name? I'll write test underscore KSR. This is my table. Now, how the table structure should look alike, right? Whenever you are creating a table, how the table structure should look alike. We have already seen some insights, but the most important factor is how the information is kept in table, it is in the form of rows and columns, right? Now, how do you define a row or a column? That is also important, right? So let me give you an idea that if I want to create a table like this is my table. Now, how many rows you want and how many columns you want, right? So first thing is what table should have. Table will have these top to bottom columns, right? It can be name column. I mean, I'm just creating a employee or a test table. I can take any columns. Columns will identify what information will be dumped into the table, right? So if I'm using name, if I'm using ID, if I'm using contact, and if I'm using address, I want to insert or I want to dump these records into a table. So we need to identify what will be the data type of name, what will be the data type of ID, what will be the data type of contact, and what will be the data type of address, right? Name will be a categorical data, character value. ID cannot be character. It can be character, but a combination of character and some numerical value. Contact is purely numerical. Address, even address is a combination of numeric and categorical, or more a kind of string value. So you need to identify, right, which which column has what kind of data type. So let's first define the column names, right? That is most important part whenever you create a table. So once you mention create table name, you have to come down and you have to use these parentheses. Now within this parenthesis, you need to define how the table structure should look alike, right? So I'll write the name of a column, which is name. Second column is ID. Third column is contact. And fourth column is address. Maybe I'll keep it to city because address is very long, right? I'll keep it to city, right? So these are the four columns which I want. Now the question here is what should be the data type? So there are different data types. We'll discuss that data types also in detail, but let's first understand what is DDL, data definition language. We are defining a table. Once you define, you will dump some information into that table, right? So definition can be done with the help of column names. So the name of the column is name, and what can be the data type? There is a data type called as varchar. There is a data type called as varchar. Now, there is a data type called as char also. You can use char as well. Char is what? Character. Char is what? Character. Varchar is what? Variable character. Now, there is a difference between char and varchar. We'll see that difference also. But for now, what I'll do, I'll not use char, I'll use varchar. Now, the reason why I'm using varchar, we will have a discussion separately on that. At that time, I'll explain you. But whenever you're using any varchar, you need to mention what should be the maximum size of that name, the number of characters or maybe number of bytes. I'll keep it to 50. I mean, I've rarely seen a person whose name is going beyond this 50 bytes. Now, byte is what? Again, if you are very new to this information technology field, there are few insights you have to understand. If I want to highlight whatever information you mention in your computer or your mobile, it would be stored in bytes. The information will be stored in bytes. Bytes is very basic. After bytes, it will be kilobytes, which is KB. After KB, it will be megabytes, which is MB. 1 MB, 2 MB data, right? After megabytes, it is gigabytes, GB. After GB, it is terabytes, TB. Now, after terabytes, there are petabytes, hexabytes, there are many. I mean, multiplication would be there. But if you understand, all these are kilo. Kilo means into 3. 10 raised to 3. Kilo means what? 10,000. Or sorry, 1,000. Mega means thrice the size of this kilobytes. 3 times the size of this kilobytes. So that is how the information is kept. So you have to understand this is not only with SQL, this is common for all the laptops or desktops or even mobiles. Information is stored in bytes. Same happens in SQL. It would be stored in bytes. So 50 bytes of information. Now, once you mention the data type, there is a second column, right? So you are continuing that query. You have to use a comma. ID. For ID, there is a data type called as int. Int is what? Integer data type. For integer data type, there is no requirement to mention size. Why is it not required? We will discuss it in more detail in further sessions. But for now, it is not required. So after ID also, there is one more column called as contact. So I have to use a comma. If you don't use a comma, it will not work. So what should be the contact? Contact is also integer. It's a numeric value, right? I'll again use a comma because there is a city. For city also, I'll try to take varchar only. Let me copy this and let me paste it. And there should be a space, right? If you use continuously, it will not assume what is the column name and what is the data type. So there should be a space. Now, there is no requirement of comma here because there is no other column after city. After contact, there is a city. After ID, there is a contact. After name, there is an ID. That's the reason there is a continuity of information. I'm using a comma here. Now, this is how a table structure is. And the most important part in SQL is whenever you write any query in SQL, you have to end that query with a semicolon. Wherever you feel that query has completed, you cannot use semicolon in between, right? If I use semicolon here, it will throw an error. It has to be used at the end of that SQL query, that you have completed writing the logic, that SQL query or a logic. So I have started creating a table logic where I've completely written, and now I can use a semicolon. It is not that compulsory, but it is recommended. It is a standard approach, right? It assumes that there is a completion of a query or logic if you write that semicolon. Even if I don't write, it will still work. But let's follow the standard rules, right? So I have written this. Now the question is, there is no table, right? But we have defined the structure of a table. If I run this query, you see 0 rows affected. But if I refresh this, there is an option called as table. This is how the table is created. Table has 4 columns, right? If you use this option, if you maximize the options of table, the table name, and what columns are present, you can see name, ID, contact, and city. All the 4 columns are listed here. Now I want to see the structure of a table, right? I want to see the structure. I have defined a structure, but I want to see the structure. That means I want to select that structure and I want to see how the structure is looking like. So I can use a query called as select. Now what I want to select everything. If there are 4 columns, if there are 40 columns, if there are 400 columns also, I want to select everything from the table. So if you want to select everything from the table, there is a component or there is a symbol which signifies everything is your asterisk symbol. Select star or asterisk from what? From the table. What is the table name? Now there is a difference, right? I'll let you know what is that difference. Now if I run this query, it will give you the structure of a table. Name, ID. There are no records. That is a different part, but it is giving you the structure of a table. Name, ID, contact, and city. Now, I want you people to spot the difference. What is that difference? Right. So let me what I'll do, I'll minimize this output window. I want you people to spot the difference between both the queries. Forget about what is the structure. Only use this and compare this. What is the difference between both the queries? Create is different, select is different, accept it. But you will find one simple difference. What is the difference which you are able to see with this line, the very first line of the create table, and this select table? What difference have you spotted?
You are writing in no, just that is a create statement and this is select statement. I think it's fine.
That is correct, but
Oh.
there is
So-
a difference, right?
Hello.
Data
So
type
here-
you are giving for each column. Here nothing you are giving. You are not giving any column names.
No. Forget about the below condition. I'm just only highlighting the very first line of this query, that create table and select table query. See,
So,
there is a difference.
so in the first
Semicolon.
Go ahead.
So in the first table, you're going to just create with the name. So here you're selecting from a particular region is one thing, and the other thing you're trying to end there with something else. There you're not ending there with anything. You're just continuing in the next line.
No. The difference is
I think first one is the definition.
Okay, like that you want. Okay, it is a DML. One is DML, one is DDL.
Yeah.
If you want.
So I'm mentioning a table here. I'm not mentioning any table, right? Select star from table test KSR. I didn't mention that way. I've just mentioned the table name. Why? If I write it different way, maybe I want to call a table called as select star from test underscore KSR underscore 2. If I run this query, see, it will throw an error. There is no table with this name. Table KSR info test underscore 2 doesn't exist. That means there is no table. Why? Because you haven't defined the table, right? Select statement will only select which you have defined. That means which you have constructed. You have defined a table. That means you have constructed a table. While constructing only what you want to construct, you will always write that component name, right? While creating a database, I have mentioned create database and the database name. But if I want to use the database, I'm not using any use database and database name, right? I'm directly using that by the name of the database. So the component which you want to create in SQL, you have to define the name of component, and then what is the component and what is the name of that component. So let's suppose you want to define database, create database, database name, create table, table name. Table is also a component in database, right? So that's how you can define. But once the component is defined, SQL is smart enough to identify what you are calling. Are you calling a database or are you calling a table? It is smart enough. So what is the difference between that two queries is whenever you are defining any component, that component or that specific query is called as a data definition language, DDL. So you are creating a table. Yes, it will be data definition language. You are creating a database, data definition language. So whichever component you are creating, while creating the component only, you should name that component and what name you should have or what name you are giving for that component. But once that component is created, if you use a select statement, if you use a use statement, it will, if you directly call that component without naming it also, just the name of that component, it will automatically assume you're calling a table, you're calling a database, or you're calling any other component. So there is a difference, right? This is a data definition language because we are defining the table. And you're only displaying the information from the table as select statement. It is called as data query language. Now, there is a data manipulation also, but that is different. Select is data, it is not a data manipulation language. It is a data query language. You are querying that data. You're only displaying the data. Now, anyways, the table is there, right? How to dump records to that table. In order to dump records to that table, that means you need to insert records inside that table. So there is a query called as insert into. Now, what are you inserting? You are inserting a record, right? Where do you insert that? Where do you insert that records? Now, insert into table, right? It will go to the table.
Yes.
It is not a data definition language. You are not defining anything in the data. You are directly dumping that records into a table. So you can directly mention insert into, need not mention table. you can directly mention the name of a table. The name of a table is test KSR. So you can directly dump that records. So insert into test KSR. Now there are 4 columns inside that table, right? So you want to insert 4 values. It will be one single row. So how do you insert 4 values inside that one single row? Or maybe complete name, ID, contact, and city, right? So you have to use some inverted commas. Comma. There are 4, right? So I'll mention 4. If you are writing or if you're inserting any record which is varchar, it is compulsory to mention inverted commas. For varchar. For integer, it is not compulsory. But standard process, we will use, I want to insert 4 columns, 4 separate values inside one single row. I've clearly mentioned inverted commas. Now, in case of name, I want to insert the name. In case of ID, I'll give a certain ID, maybe ID. Contact, I'll give a certain contact, some random contact. And I'll mention city. Now, if I run this query, the query is successful. Is it successful or not? You have to check, right? The query is successful. One row affected. Now, how do I check whether the row is inserted or not? Again, select statement, right? You're displaying what is present inside that table. You can see it has inserted a record. So there is a difference, right? This SQL select statement is called as a data query language. This is a data query language, which is DQL. You are querying that data. Querying means you're displaying. You're only displaying the data. Insert means you are dumping some data into already existing structure. So create table is your data definition language. You are defining a component. Same goes with this. Creating a database is also a DDL query. Using database. You want to only use it, right? What is using database? Using database is a DQL. Data query language. Same select is also DQL. Now, what is insert? There is a language called as data manipulation language. What is data manipulation? There is already a structure. Inside that structure, you want to manipulate some data. You want to insert, maybe you want to delete. That is called as data manipulation language. Insert is one statement. There are many other statements which are part and parcel of data manipulation language. Manipulation means there is already a structure. You are manipulating that structure with some records or some data inserting into it. So this is data manipulation language, DML. Now what I'll do, I'll let me insert few set of records. Same, right? So I'll write this insert statement multiple times and I'll replace these values. Right? And I can simultaneously run both the insert statements, right? Both the insert statements are right. That values are inserted into the table. Let me use the select statement. And you can see the values are available. Now the question here is, values are available. If you're defining a structure, it is data definition language. If you're displaying that already defined structure, it is data query language. And you want to manipulate any data, insert that data, it is called as data manipulation language. Now, is it that only you insert a record inside a table is called as manipulation? No, right? You can delete a record also. You can delete a record as well. So how do I delete? There is an option to delete also. Delete. And a person who knows basic English, SQL is straightforward English. There is no complexity. So delete what you want to delete and from where you want to delete, right? I want to delete from test underscore case. I want to delete from test underscore case. Now, if I use this query, There are 3 records, right? Inside this table, there are 3 records. But I want to delete that records. If I run this query, 3 rows affected, that means delete query successful. The output window, it is green, right? It is successful. And if I again go back and check the table structure, it has came back to that normal structure, right? You can only see the column names. There are no records because you have deleted every record which you have inserted. Even delete is manipulating the data. You're manipulating the data, right? You're not changing the structure of a table, but you're just manipulating the data. So this is also data manipulation language. But there is a drawback for delete, right? There is a small drawback. What is the drawback? If I'm deleting, accepted the records are deleted, but there are some 40,000 records, or maybe some not even 40. Let's only consider 5,000. Out of 5,000 records, I only want to delete few set of records. Maybe I have to identify them by which component I want to identify and what will be the factor I have to delete that 5 or 10 records. If I use delete from that table, all 5,000 records would be deleted. It's very risky. Right? It's very risky. So let me insert few records again, the same values. Right? And again, I'll use the select statement. There are 3 records. The question is, I want to delete a record which ID is 501. I don't want to delete all 3. I only want to delete a record, the complete row, where the ID is 501. What I am trying to communicate with you, within that communication only, there is a query. Again, as I've said, SQL, you will be able to understand if your English communication is very good. I want to delete a record where ID is 501. The query, the communication, the line which I've said, it itself contains a query. Delete from test underscore KSR, where English, basic English, where ID. And what is the ID? ID equal to 501. That's it. And again, I've said, whenever you are inserting any value or whenever you are displaying any value, if it's a varchar, you should have inverted commas. If it's an integer, it will still take. This is an integer value. It will take. But standard approaches always use inverted commas. Now, is it that you should use only single inverted commas? You can use double inverted also. But you cannot use like this. One single inverted, one double inverted. It should be both same. Start if it is single inverted, ending should be single inverted. Usually single inverted commas are mostly recommended rather than double inverted commas, right? So I want to delete only one record. One row affected. Again, I'll go back to the select statement and let's see whether it has really deleted that. Yes, it has really deleted that. So the most important factor is whenever you are using a delete statement, if you want to delete everything, blindly mention delete from that table or delete from that particular component which you have created. All the records inside that component would be deleted. But if you only want to delete certain set of records, you have to mention a where condition. So where is a clause in SQL? There are components, right? So where is a clause in SQL? There are clauses in SQL. So where is the very first and the most important clause in SQL? And what does this where what is the idea behind this where? Where is nothing but a filtering condition, right? We are filtering that I want to only remove this ID 501. The question is it that only ID will work? Not right. I can delete it by some other column also. I want to delete where city equal to Hyderabad. So I'll mention city, and city is a varchar value, categorical data. So you have to mention inverted commas, right? So I'll mention Hyderabad, and if I run this. Now, see, you are getting some error, right? I mean, I haven't ran a query, but this query will run. But why is this red mark? Again, wherever you will not use inverted or semicolons, not inverted, it's a semicolon. Prior to that query, there is no semicolon, right? That means you are not ending this query. See, if I run this, it will still run. But there is one row affected. Why this red? You have to close this semicolon. That's the thing. So end of every query, you use a semicolon, you will get that limited error options. Now, if I write one more query below here, it will be in red because I'm not closing this. I have to close it. Now, whether the query is really, I mean, the delete statement has worked or not, select statement. There is only one record. That means that complete row is deleted. So you cannot delete one single column. You cannot delete, because delete is a data manipulation, right? Column is defined in the data definition. You can delete a row. You are inserting a row, right? Whichever row you are inserting, you can delete a row. You cannot delete a column. If you want to delete a column, it should be data definition language, which is drop column. Understand the difference. What is data manipulation? In data query language, select as the mostly, or that's the only query which you can understand. In data query language, DQL. But insert is data manipulation. Whatever you have inserted, you can delete that. So delete is also data manipulation. Now, again, I'll go back and let me insert these two records. Inserted. There are three records again. So there is one statement which I'll write, and let's try to identify what is that difference. Truncate, and you need to identify what kind of query is it. What is this query? Which language is it?
Definition. DDL.
Why?
Definition.
Why?
Data definition.
Why is it data definition?
We are defining the table to delete.
No.
We are not modifying,
The
manipulating.
component name, right? Wherever you will find this component name, it's a data definition language. That is the key identification factor. Right? We are not mentioning truncate table. We are mentioning truncate table and the component name and the name of that component. If I run this, see what I'll do, I'll run this delete statement first. Delete is what? It will delete the manipulated data. That means whatever data you have inserted, it will delete. Now, if I run this select statement, only records are deleted, but the table is present. There is that table present here. Now, let me again insert these values. And I'll come down to this truncate. Truncate is correct. I mean, it is working. Now, again, I'll go back to the select statement. What that truncate is doing? It is also doing, it is also working like delete only, right?
Yeah, it is instantly deleting everything without requiring any where or anything. It's just deleting everything from.
So in truncate, you cannot use a where clause. That is for
Like,
sure, because it's a data
if
definition language.
If you want to delete all the records in one go, you can use.
But we can also use delete also, right? If I want to delete all the records in one go, I can use a delete as well. Except that if you use a where clause only, whatever you have mentioned in that filter, it will delete. But I can still use a delete.
Truncate will delete the table itself. Huh?
How come, man? I've
No,
used
no,
this
the table
truncate.
is still there.
Okay,
Table is
okay,
still
sorry.
there.
Mhm.
There is a different query to delete a table.
Drop. Okay.
Whatever table you have defined, drop table, table name. This will drop the table. Drop means it will completely remove that table. If you want to remove records from that table, it has to be data manipulation language using delete. But if you want to completely remove the table itself, including the structure of a table, because table is defined, so you have to use a definition language command only, which is drop table, DDL. This is also DDL. This will drop the table. But if you use truncate, it is also deleting all the records present in the table, but it is not touching the structure of a table. The structure of a table will remain intact. So there is a difference. What that difference is between truncate and delete. If I still use delete from table, everything will be deleted. And truncate table, table name, everything will be deleted, except that structure will remain as it is. So what is the difference is, if there are thousands of records, maybe 10,000 records, if I use delete statement on 10,000 records, delete statement might take 25 to 30 seconds to delete all the records. Whereas if I use truncate, within 2 or 3 seconds, it will delete all the records. That is the difference. Time difference. Truncate is not a recommended command unless and until if you feel everything, every record inside a table you want to delete it, you can use a truncate. If you feel the number of records are more, in that case, you can go with truncate rather than delete, because delete is a slow as compared to truncate. It is comparatively slow as compared to truncate. It's almost 5 or 6 times slow than the truncate. Truncate is 5, 6 times faster than delete. There is only a time difference. Now, table structure is still there. If I run this drop, you see, it has automatically refreshed. There is no table now. You're completely deleting the defined structure. Right? Again, I have to go back and create a table, right? And if I refresh this, that table will come. So this is drop. Right? So let me give you an idea. What is data definition language? You are defining some component. Create is data definition language. Drop is a data definition language. Now we will go through alter also, not today, but we'll go through it. And if I go to the next tab, data manipulation language. Insert is data manipulation language, because you're inserting something inside that defined structure. Delete, you're deleting whatever you have inserted. It's a data manipulation language. Now, what is update? If I've inserted some records, I've inserted some records, right? And if I go back to the select statement, query, what I want is I want to update my contact. A person can change his phone number, right? He can purchase a different phone number. So if you want to update, what you are updating a value which is present in the table. You're not updating any column name. You are updating a value. Value present inside the table. That is the reason it is called as data manipulation language. And if I again go back to the presentation, there is a command called as alter in the data definition. Alter will change the structure of a table. That means if you want to change the name of a column, from contact, I want to use mobile number. I can use that alter. Contact is defined while creating a table. But the values which are present in the contact, that are data manipulation language components. So that's the difference between data definition and data manipulation. And if you understand these basics of SQL, any query can be written in SQL. SQL is not that difficult. People directly jump to stored procedure functions. If you are good in basics or foundation, any programming language is easy for you. So that's the reason I'm going with a slower pace. Once we feel that we are up to the mark, our pace will be slightly increased. Right? So we have seen. I'll also try to write alter and update maybe in the next session. But let's understand what is definition, what is manipulation, and there is one more, data query language. Select is your data query language. You're querying, right? You're fetching the data from the database. What you want to fetch? You want to fetch from table, you want to fetch from any other component, you can fetch it. This is a data query language. Now, along with this, there are the other languages also, which I've mentioned, right? TCL, and there is one language called as DCL. We will discuss this DCL and TCL once you are very good with the above three languages. I mean, the below two are not that important from a data analyst point of view, but still we will discuss it. From the data analyst point of view, these three components are very, very important. Any questions on now? Again, if I use the select star, star means everything, right? Everything I want to display from the table, every column. But I don't like this contact. I mean, the contact is not up to the mark, right? It is only 6 digits. How come 6 digits? Is it a landline number? It should be 10 digits, right? It's a landline number. Is it a landline number? It's not a landline number. But just for my sake, I've mentioned 6 digits only. But what I want is I don't want to display this contact, right? I only want name, ID, and city. So rather than using star, what I'll do, I'll copy this query, come down, and I only want to display name. So you can clearly call out the columns which you want to display, ID and city. I only want to display these. There is no contact here. So whichever columns you want to display, you can clearly call them. But if you're not sure what columns I want to display everything coming from the table, use star. Star is everything. So this is refined DQL. Whatever columns you want, you can define that. Now, there is one thing which you might have observed. I'm writing everything in capital. How come everything is in small here, right? If I write in small also, it is working. So one thing you have to identify, SQL is a case insensitive language. Whenever you are learning any programming language, there are two concepts. One is case sensitive and one is case insensitive. Now, what is case sensitive is, if you have mentioned like this, and I want to call this value, you have to call it using the same capital structure. This is called as case sensitive because it is sensitive, right? What you have mentioned, you have to call it in the same manner. But SQL is case insensitive, right? You can call it by this name also. Either you use capital, either you use small. It should match that character. That's the only thing. The English character should be matched. R small should match with R capital. That's it. It is matching, right? So SQL is case insensitive. It is not sensitive. If it is sensitive, it would have thrown error. If I'm calling in capital and if it is mentioned in small, it will throw an error. So SQL is a case insensitive language. There are some languages which are sensitive. I'm talking about, or I'm talking with respect to a programming language. So you need to understand what is sensitive and what is case insensitive. Any questions on the queries up till now?
Hello, sir. Yeah. Can you scroll over once, like on the use query? Yeah, now KSR info is selected, like it is in bold, like in the left hand side. So if I use the query as use KSR practice tool, this one, like
Very good. Now, if I'm using this, I got your question. And if I try to use a select statement, it will throw an error. Why? Because there is no table with test KSR under this database, because it is going to that database, right? So whatever tables are present inside this database, all that tables you can call, but there is no table called as test KSR in there. Either you have to define a table and then maybe insert a record, or maybe define a table and use a select check. So whatever components are present inside that database, only that you can use or you can display. That is the basic reason I always say whenever you open this SQL workbench, you use that use query first. Any other question? If I come down again and if I use a select statement, it will work, because inside that info, KSR info database, there is this table. Now, while defining a table, I was trying to mention you what is char and varchar. If I mention char also, it is one and the same, right? One and the same. But recommended is varchar. Why? There is slight difference. Data types also matter a lot in SQL. You should be very pro in data types. So we will be starting with a very basic data type difference. And I'll explain that difference for today. And then maybe we can continue with some other stuff in next session. Right. So why to use varchar rather than char? Whatever I'm explaining, this is all background architecture. It is not visible to our naked eye. Now, as I've said, right, you have to mention the size of that char or varchar. So I'm mentioning 5. 5 means 5 bytes, assuming that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I mention some 5-digit name here, 5-digit or 5-byte value, right? If I mention some 5-byte value, maybe I want to mention Anish, 5 characters, right? Well and good. And if I mention Anish here, well and good. But if I want to mention, again, I'll take 5 characters. If I want to mention Amit, if I want to mention Amit, there is a white space, right? White space means it is just a wastage of storage. In case of character, whatever size you mention, all that characters will remain as it is. The size of. So if Amit is 4 letters, the 5th will remain still. It will be vacant, but it will still be there. In case of varchar, this is variable character. It will vary the value. If I have mentioned Amit, there is this last vacant option, right? This will not be present here because it is automatically adjusting depending on the size. Yeah, if it is of 6 digits, right? If the name is of 6 digits, maybe the name is Ashish. There is a 6th digit, right? So you cannot insert Ashish inside this because it is over and above that size of that varchar. But if you're mentioning varchar as 10, and if you mention mention Ashish, there will be other 4 blank conditions, right? It will not consider this 4, it will not occupy the storage. Whereas if it is a char, and if you mention 10 in the char, and if you mention Ashish, it will take all 10 storages. Irrespective if there are blanks also, if it is not having any value also, it will take. So if people are going with char, they might have identified there is a drawback in char. That is the reason they have introduced variable character. Variable character will remove that white spaces. That is the benefit of variable character. Now, if given a chance, why people will use a char, right? They'll always go with varchar. They'll always go with varchar because it is saving the storage. Storage is the most important factor in any database, or if it's a database also, in reporting also, even storage matters, right? So whichever role you are into, a data, maybe a data analyst or a data engineer, data science, storage is the most important factor. So wherever it is storage efficient, always go with that storage efficient one. Any questions again?
No, sir.
So if there are no questions, okay, there is a question from Garvit. Oh, my bad. My voice is not audible. Okay, that's fine. Um, how many lectures completed until now? Okay, Garvit, this is the third session, you can assume. Not many sessions we covered. You can go back to the recordings. Now, I assume that you might have understood the difference here. Let me highlight few things again. I mean, these are demo sessions, or not demo, because we will be continuing with what we have left. For one thing which I would like to highlight is tomorrow is 15th. I mean, officially KSR has an off tomorrow. Even we'll consider we will have an off tomorrow. Still, there is one more free session which is pending, or maybe which we have to go through. So Monday would be our last free session. From Tuesday, it would be paid sessions. So we don't have session tomorrow. We don't have sessions on weekend. For now, you can directly join on Monday. Few things which I would again like to highlight is if you want to access any recordings, right? So the best option is go to KSR Data Vision, this particular website from Google, you can search. Go to click on sign in. If you don't have an option to sign in, I mean, you don't have an account with the KSR, you click on create new account, you can sign in. That option is there. Once you sign in, once you create an account, you can use your personal email ID and whatever password you have mentioned to sign into this. Now, you might already added this session in your bucket. If not, you have to go to the Explore courses once you sign in. Explore courses, free sessions, the very first window or the very first option, Fabric or Power BI preview. You will get an option called as access, right? Access or enroll. It will be freely, right, for 5 sessions. So once you click on it, you have to click on access course, and you will get list of all the recordings. Now, you will not be in the recordings option, you will be in the lessons option. My SQL installation steps, this PPT is also there, you can download it. It will take some time to load it here, but you can download it here. If you want to check the recordings from lessons, you have to go to the class records. So today's session is still live. First session was just what is DA, what is data analyst and BI engineer. We didn't cover any technical stack there. From second, third, and today's fourth. Ideally, it is third session technically. So you can assume. Once we complete this session, maybe next 30 minutes, you will get the record. So this is the ideal way. If you want to check the previous recordings, use this option. Right? You can go back and check the previous recordings. So it is mentioned that tomorrow there will be session, but there won't be any session tomorrow. I mean, we will cancel it, and there would be session directly on 19th of August. Right? 15th is tomorrow, 16th, 17th is weekend, not even 19th, 18th. 18th of August. Monday, 18th of August, our last free session would be, I mean, you have ample time for these 3 days. You can go through all the recordings. And as I've said, right, we have a target of 100 days. So today is day 3. We will consider this weekend as complete day 4. Friday, Saturday, Sunday as day 4. On Monday, it will be day 5. So that's how our plan is. Within next 100 days, what we are targeting, you should be a good, I mean, it is not should, you would be a good data analyst. That's our target. Right now, what about previous batch? Kanchan, you are already added, so you need not worry on that. You would be automatically added. Any other questions which you have?
Hi, my name is Nagesh.
Hey, Nagesh.
Yeah, I'm just checking, like while we do this course, I come from marketing and sales domain. Will we be able to cover any cases from this domain?
Any domain experience related to marketing, that is what you're asking, right?
Correct. I'm from marketing and sales domain, and I want to, while you're teaching this course, will you cover any from marketing and sales domain for me to familiarize with my industry?
We can. There problem. The question is, if there are 30 people, 30 people will have different requirement. I will definitely help you. How do you identify that marketing? Or maybe if you give me a brief highlight also, I can help you what kind of questions can help, or what kind of questions would you expect, or what KPIs can be available, possible KPIs in the Power BI from the marketing domain. For every domain, I'll give you a basic idea that this is how it will be, how that domain, how the KPIs will come, how you can develop reports. Yes. And marketing and whatever you clearly mentioned, right? Wherever you go, marketing domain is present, right? If you want to purchase some insurance also, insurance policy, there is a marketing there. So in whichever domain you are into, every domain has a marketing presence. So you need not worry on that part. Marketing is there everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? There is a question from Pradeep. I have one more question about the batch timings. Okay, okay, this is very first session. Okay, I'll again reiterate. Batch is usually weekdays, Monday to Fridays are standard batch. We have sessions Monday to Friday. And if there are some festivals in between, right? We have 15th of August. So we can cover up that 15th of August in next weekend. Maybe I'll try to take a session on Saturday, 1 hour session. Where we will cover that missing day, right? So there are possibilities, right? So, but ideally we follow Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday, as I've said, rare case, Saturday or Sunday. We have some non-technical sessions which I've highlighted, right? Resume preparation, interview preparation, agile way of project management, how a LinkedIn account should look like. If you are entering this field of data analyst, you should have a good LinkedIn presence. Even that we will have a session. So that sessions can be conducted on weekends, 8 to 9:30 a.m. That is the standard time which we follow. If at all it's weekends, we can adjust our timings, right? Maybe I'll start at 8:30 to 9:30 1 hour. Sometimes 9 to 10. 9 to 10 is very rare. If it's a Sunday, I'll try to make it to 9 to 10, right? People are sleeping, right? They have sleep disorder for few of you, including me. I also have that. So I want a good sleep on Sundays. Sleep in the sense I usually have 8 or 8:30. So I usually extend from 9 to 10. That's the only thing which we do on weekends. But usually on weekdays, it is 8 to 9:30. For course duration, as I've said, we would be covering SQL. SQL will have 22 minimum. It can extend up to 25. Then Power BI will have minimum 35 sessions. Minimum 35. It is not minutes, it is minimum, right? 35 sessions. And we have Azure, same. Azure will have minimum 22 sessions. Now, with these three, within Power BI, we would be covering Fabric. And Fabric is not that it is covered with Power BI Desktop. It is covered with Power BI Service and Azure clubbed together. And specifically in Azure, let me open that. Just a moment. I'll open the window, which what technical stack we would be covering, right? Right. So the below ones are not technical exposure, which we have on weekends, but from the point of view, the technical point of view, all these concepts would be covered. If you want any additional details, once you log into this, right, once you log into the website, if you go to this course curriculum, the PDF is there. You only have to move to the lessons option, right? A person who is very new to any website, he has to explore that website. So explore in the sense you will be in the lessons option. If you want to check class records, you need to go to this class records. If you want to come down and download anything, you have to come down to this lessons option. And what you want to download, you can download it here. Maybe you want to download PDF, you can download that PDF. So this PDF includes, this particular PDF includes all the course curriculum, which we would be covering. It will display it. You can download this. What we would be covering in Azure, what we would be covering in Power BI, what we would be covering in SQL. Everything is clearly mentioned. The course fees is of 30K. 30K is the total fees. You will get discount if you are paying it for one single payment. Even for two payments also there is a discount, two installments. For three installments, there is no as such discount. The reason to give this 30K is, again, we would be giving premium per user Fabric and Power BI license. So which would cost us $24 per user per month. So 2 months we are giving 24 into 2, $48, which would cost us around some 3,800 or 900 rupees. So it is inclusive of this 30K. It is not separate, right? You need not pay it separately. So if I'm only considering basic 80 rupees also per dollar, 3,800. It is not 80 nowadays, it's 85 or 86. So somewhere around 4,000 we are spending from the KSR's pocket for that license. I hope it is clear. Now, any other questions with respect to course or technical aspects which we discussed today?
Except for SQL, there won't be much of code writing, right, in this course?
See, again, I'll try to reiterate. This course is developed in such a way that it is mostly 80%, it is mostly non-coding. See, coding means we are not writing any 10, 20 line codes or not even 5 to 6 lines of code. It would be very straightforward in SQL. If you have a good communication in English, what you communicate, you have to write it in SQL. Yes, there would be slight change. You have to use some SQL terminologies. In Power BI also, see, I've seen many people in the market who knows Power BI, but only from the visuals perspective. They don't know DAX. DAX is what? DAX is not coding. DAX is more a kind of formulas. So we would be learning more a kind of formulas rather than coding. Coding is what C, C++, Java, .NET, even core Python is coding. Accepted Python can be written. I mean, whatever you write in Java can be written in Python in 2-3 lines, but still it's a coding, right? That we are not going through it. Mostly it would be touch-based information, touch-based understanding only. I mean, if you see the SQL, which I've explained it now, it is one and the same, right? What you are communicating in English, that can be written in the SQL with certain terminologies. That's it. It is not more coding. If you go to data engineering, yes, that is purely coding. Data science, purely coding. And one thing for sure you have to understand, if you are entering this data or if you're entering this IT field, there will be some amount of coding. That some amount of coding, you can assume it as formulas or logics. It is not pure coding, some amount, right? 80% is non-coding, 80% is manageable, right? We have to just think about formulas in 20%, which is easily bearable. Any other questions? So if there are no questions, as I've said, there won't be any session tomorrow. We will connect back on Monday, 18th of August. I mean, prior closing this session, a very happy advanced Independence Day. Let's connect back on Monday. I assume that there are no questions. So I'll be closing this session for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ritesh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.